listening to the UpriseAstrology podcast, a podcast that inspires the present-day visionary to rise to their best life. My name is Aylin Sky, and I'm an astrologer and numerologist. I'm best known for cutting right through the noise and bringing the most important messages to you. On with your guys' astrology, we are going to be taking a look at all of it. I'm sorry, I up onto the screen there for a moment. We were off to a great start there. So welcome to all my Gemini friends, Gemini rising and Gemini sun signs. And listen to both, but your rising sign is going to correspond more accurately with the predictions that I will be outlaying here for the month of November. We're going kind of week by week, taking a look at what is the most important kind of energy to pay attention to. What are some of the aspects? What are the themes and the intentions of the stars? Let's dive into it because we have a lot to cover. The first week of November starts out kind of with a building aspect, and then boom, we come into November 7th. And that is when we're having this pressure hold of a fixed sign T square. For you guys, this will have a lot to do with your health and your faith in what you're doing day to day and how that ultimately impacts the big picture of your life. And some projects you might be working on right now that are really important to you, or many of you feel like that you're kind of in a place that is like a holding pattern with having to learn specific methodologies or having to really reframe your belief structures right now in the big term, in the big picture term. Okay. So this is a lot of pressure for you guys to figure out what are some of the work and health responsibilities and lifestyle responsibilities that you have that are outdated in a sense, that need your attention. You become super clear about it because the Sun Mercury Cazimi is going to happen in your house of lifestyle. And this has a lot to do with you finally understanding very specific aspects about how to organize your lifestyle, how to perhaps go about the specific routine that you've been trying to either let go of. Maybe you were phasing out of it. I think for a lot of you, there's a phasing out that's started to begin maybe a while back, and now you realize this is the phasing out that needed to happen. And also at the same time, you have maybe been picking up something that replaced a specific responsibility or a commitment or some kind of organizational piece in your day to day that feels a lot more like you, that feels like this is what you've been, really yearning for. This is what you really wanted. It has depth. It's rich in, experience. What I'm talking about is maybe you were lifting weights the whole time. Now it's part of your day to day. Stuff like this could have shifted because this particular T square and this Mercury Cazimi is showing you how things in your day to day impact ultimately the outlook on your life, the meaning of your life. There is a shift that has occurred here, and there are certain things in, and now you don't believe in those things anymore. So there's a letting go of this old sort of outdated version of your lifestyle that is transitioning. And so there are some conversations now that are coming up in this particular week when we're taking a look from Monday the 7th all the way until the 13th. A lot of conversations and important conversations that need to be had with also other people that are involved in your day-to-day, where you're able to deal with the depth and the psychology of certain, feelings that are very important to you. You're uncovering more about yourself. You're uncovering more about your faith. You're uncovering more about what you really want to create for the long term and why things have happened the way that they have up until. And so some of these conversations are going to quite literally, they're going to be mind blowing. They're going to be so uplifting in a sense, but right now it may not feel like that because the energies are intense, right? T squares pressure us into a holding pattern and we got to work through it. And so all of this gets backed up by the full moon lunar eclipse at 16 degrees. This is also going to be unfolding, for you guys in your 12th house, the house of spirituality, house of faith. This is going to be a time, I think, where if you start to realize you have to expand and out that is happening. You are letting go of very specific situations that simply don't work anymore, that you get nothing out of it. Like, you got to let this go. You got to change something about it and you're done with it. And this will have also to do with, some kind of moral issues that tie into, work responsibilities or organizational things or things that you're, committed to even up until this point. Now, there's a heated conversation that comes up, and this is really interesting because this opposition between Mercury and Uranus is going to be exact the same day at the same degree, 16 degrees. And so expect the unexpected. There might be an issue that comes up. It could kind of impact a bit of your mindset here. You could have this sort of moment where you are reminded of what puts you into this situation where you feel like somebody doesn't take you seriously, or somebody doesn't, look at the things that you're doing in a way where it's respected. Just know that day the energy is scattered. You are going to have some epiphanies by what you are going to be encountering during the 24 hours. And if it is with another person, which most likely it is going to be, Mercury and Uranus at 16 could involve another person. But most importantly, how do you view, that situation? This is what you want to pay attention to. How do you view the situation now? Because you're going to start to realize you've changed a lot. Your mindset has changed a lot. But where are the hooks sometimes? Where are the triggers sometimes? So expect the unexpected. You will find out some very important that will let you know that you're headed in the right direction. So best to focus on the new things and best to focus on the things that kind of help you to move forward. And then hope starts to come back, because whatever breakdown you were dealing with, there is this beautiful that's happening a couple of days after, right? This is leading from the second week of November into the third week of November. There's a lot of hope that comes back. You start to begin to see the meaning behind certain things. You start to realize, oh yeah, things are really changing now, and I'm able to see this depth of my life, why my day to day was functioning the way that it was, why I may have been suffering in a certain area, why I could not take my responsibilities or the sets of things that I've set as goals to the next level. And this has to do with your career, because that's where Neptune is at. The trine is going from your lifestyle house, health house, to your career house. And so there is a letting go that is coming with all of this, to realize, your role was this particular role after all, or the meaning behind things were this particular meaning after all. So you're starting to realize the shift that's happening. There's an undoing that had to happen sort of up until this point in the way in which you view your career goals. And so there's a shift that's happening, a hope that's coming back. It's going to be uplifting. Many of you are going to start to realize that there's a new inspiration that is flowing in. You feel really fired up about this inspiration. Venus and Mercury are going to be trining Jupiter, backs up the conversation that's happening for your career. There is a new kind of career outlook, or even a new opportunity that starts to come in that will impact the way in which you are going to be moving forward now. And this is really, really important because relationships tie into it. And you might be cutting certain coworkers out of your life in a way, or certain people. If you're not cutting them out, you might just shift the way in which you going to be around certain people that are a part of your life. But relationship dynamics play a huge role. And there might be new relationships that come in that help you to get into this new picture with your career, that help you to expand what your point of view is of what's possible for your career. Simply shift into something that is completely different than what you had set out to do, but it is so welcome because it's really energizing, and then start to have this kind of this feeling that comes in where you're wanting to now let go of all this pressure, and you're moving into this time where Venus and Mercury now shifting out of your lifestyle house, the health house, into your seventh house of relationships. And so it's going to be a time where you're going to start to focus on love in general, really doing something with the most important people in your life. You feel like this is a time where you want to come together with another person. If you're single, you might actually meet someone. You might actually, if you're dating someone, you might actually tell them more how much you appreciate them and love them. There is a sense that you want to have fun now. You want to get up and get going. It's a super productive for relationships that start to rise up here. And all of this gets backed up when, Venus and Mercury are, trining that Jupiter. So then the ingress from Venus and Mercury into your seventh house is going to be such a welcomed energy. It's super uplifting and it's super socializing. So now this energy right here is really interesting. And I want to touch base on this because we talked about this in um, the October reports. Mars and Neptune have been in the square. They've been here for a while. It started in October. It's a gnarly energy. That's the best way to describe it. Now, what's different now, though, is that from the 16th until the 22nd, Mars is retrograde in Gemini. This is happening in your house of your identity, yourself, how you portray yourself to the people, how you take action in the world. And so this is going to be a square to Neptune where you are revisiting an old issue that has to do with your career, has to do maybe with somebody who is sort of like who reminds you of an old boss, or reminds you of like this person that really would get under your skin. Maybe that could be one scenario. Another scenario that I see here is that you're sort of just questioning what you're doing with your life for a moment. And the reason you're doing that is because there's sort of an old energy that pulls you back into that questioning. Sometimes I find when you're at the same time as you are building some new thing in your life, when you're letting the old part go, there's a questioning period that is happening. You could be simply just going through that. But this Mars Neptune square is an gnarly energy. It's an energy that has to do a lot with deceitful action. It's not clear. There could be sort of a caution, okay, that you need to put into place here between these two, communicating in your career house and then yourself, and how that really impacts you. And perhaps there is a time in your life that you're going to be reminded of where you showed a part of yourself that kind of got you into this certain like image that you didn't want. That might be something you're still working out here, and sort of you're revisiting this action. Okay, this story is what I meant to say. Caution around this Mars Neptune square. A lot of shifts that are happening, and the way that you're shifting is understanding how you feel in the moment and why. It's a beautiful story. You guys, my internet keeps cutting out. I'm so sorry. If you were here on YouTube with me and you didn't catch this last part, I really apologize. I hope that it recorded. But let me just repeat this again. November 19th through the 30th, Venus and Mercury are going to be in a conjunction. Now, of course, in a conversation in your love life or your house of bonds to other people, that's what the seventh house is. And they're going to be in a conjunction, this tight conjunction, and they're kind of, coming exact a few times when we take a look at the numerology. But overall, they're going to be traveling from 4 to 20 degrees. And this is really important because they're sort of in this new conversation here where you're going to have an opportunity here to express yourself more compassionately. But there's also some kind of negotiation involved in this. If this has to do not with your love life, but other partners, if this has to do with your business somehow, there's a negotiation that is happening that will benefit you financially or benefit you in some kind of business transaction. It's a really good time to focus on those types of things. And the other thing that is really beautiful during this time frame is that we have that Sun Jupiter conjunction at 28. This is a beautiful time for you to focus on future growth, putting your ideas now out into a vision board, or even you just coming into a place where you looking at what do you want to do right now that will benefit you in the long run. What are some of the things you're wanting to grow? Think future, think growth. Think of choosing something that you want to do that puts you out of your comfort zone, and whatever you are focusing on is going to benefit you not only now but for the long term, you guys. Now, before I move on real quick, because we have a lot of new people on my channel, we've grown actually by a couple hundred. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing. My name is Aylin Sky. If you're new here, I am an astrologer and numerologist, and I focus on forecasts a lot. I love taking a look at the astrology for the immediate future. I love the month to month kind of point of view. This is how I take a look at the astrology. I use it myself that way to kind of prep what the intentions are. What is the conversation we're getting involved in? What are the themes we're getting involved in? And it kind of helps me to be a little bit prepared. And that's what I love doing on this channel for you guys. So if you like this kind of forecasting, I would love for you to hang out. Let's hang out. Subscribe to my channel. Be part of the UpriseAstrology podcast fam. There's room for much more, and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of these forecasts. Now, November 22nd through the 23rd, Jupiter finally moves direct. This is going to be a golden time for career, your legacy. If you are retired, then this will have stuff to do with you just rethinking what you want to sort of create now moving forward in your life that is super important to you, but it could also have to do with you just expanding the idea of something that you really want to leave behind. And so this is a really good time to maximize on any kind of promotion you're trying to go for, applications you're kind of trying to put through, things that you're trying to expand in your career. This is a really beautiful time for that. Now, Sagittarius season begins, and so this is going to illuminate your love life even more so. This will also illuminate more business transaction as well, because the seventh house is not only marriage, but it's just the bond to other people. So your relationships become important, your needs within the relationships become important. But this is a really social time, and a time where you want to focus on relationships, a time when you really want to, just give that more attention in your life right now. The relationships that are most important to you. But keep in mind, it's also a good time financially, okay? To really focus on some kind of negotiation terms. You will have the sun backing you here. It's a good time. All right, November 26th through the 30th, Mars now in your first house is going to form a trine to your ninth house. So the first and ninth house, the first house is you. It's your persona. It's you from head to toe, your vitality, and even your image behind it, your identity behind it. What's the ninth house? The ninth house is your thinking, but big picture, opening up your horizon, your philosophy. And sometimes this can have to do with the outdoors. I know it sounds really weird, but the ninth house sometimes for me, when stuff is transiting through there, I spend a good amount of time outdoors in nature. So definitely this is a time where you could be in the out. And so this is going to be a time where you feel like you really want to take action towards a project. This can be a very specific project that involves new philosophies, belief systems, something that you're wanting to study, or you might just want to book that big vacation. There's something you want to create in the future that has to do with you having to plan for it and you really creating an aim in regards to it. And so Mars and Saturn is helping you to get into action here And I love this for you guys because that new moon is going to happen, shortly after, kind of backing some, relationship dynamics here as well, that will help you kind of in the pursuit of any kind of project that you have, any publishing that you might want to do. These are the types of things that you are going to be inspired to do. But there is sort of a very conscious connection to this part of your life now. You start to realize that you have to make some smarter moves, and you are becoming smarter in the way in which you're doing this for yourself. And this is what is so beautiful about it. Now, there is a little bit of a hiccup. Hiccup is going to be November 29th. Mercury is going to be in your seventh house, having an opposition to Mars. There's some kind of relationship dynamics here that are going to be challenging your beliefs. And this might be someone that is close to you, or some kind of agreement that you might have. While you're working out new agreements, there might be an old agreement that is kind of, you know, needing some renegotiation because they're just challenging your beliefs, or you are no longer kind of a business transaction, this kind of an agreement. And so you're going to have to renegotiate it. But just keep in mind that this is a very sensitive energy. You might take things more personally during this kind of 24-hour period. So just be mindful of that. Also, I want to just mention here real quick, it's not for everyone, but you want to have caution around hot or sharp objects during this time, especially because it's the first house. It's your, your body, and your body involved in anything. You want to be cautious around hot and, kind of sharp objects. This can come up during this time as well. Just caution around that. So this is what I'm seeing for the November forecast for all of my Gemini friends. I hope that you liked this horoscope. Hang out, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys back here in the next forecasting. Thank you so much for hanging out, and see you soon. Bye.